What's really good? What's really good? What's really good? Welcome back to another Wednesday night live with the Sanchez Show. As always, I'm your host, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast. Shoot me a like, shoot me a comment. Make sure you lock in. My brother Will Gordon will be joining us very shortly. Also, in the meantime, make sure you guys are not only subscribed to the Sanchez Show, but make sure you subscribe to Real Fans Real Talk. We'll be back live on Monday night, 7 p.m. with a special guest, Kathy Boswell. It's definitely going to be a great time on Monday, so make sure you guys lock in. But tonight, we got a lot to get into, man. We got some NFL stuff to get into. I see some NBA questions in the comment section as well. We're going to get to those as well. If you're over on Instagram, we're trying to get the live going over there. I'm not sure why it's giving us a tough time right now, because we had it set up. But anyway, let's get to it, man. As always, I'm your host, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games. You see the handle at the bottom. Make sure you lock in. Let's get to some of the questions and comments we got. Will Gordon will be joining us very shortly. Who was the first in the comment section? Let's see who we got. Who was the first in the comment section, guys? Let's see. Ron Charles. Shedeur Sanders, oblique, unlikely to play Saturday. I'm not too surprised. I hinted at it on Monday. I didn't want to make too much of a big deal about Shedeur's performance, though. I was rooting for Shedeur. As I said, I love Shedeur's game. He was the best quarterback, in my opinion, coming out of this draft in terms of experience and execution and playing in a pro-style offense throughout college and even back into his high school days. But it was the first game of the preseason. There was a lot of backup guys and a lot of guys trying to make the 53-man roster. So I knew that there was going to start to be this narrative of, well, it may not be enough for Shedeur to still crack the starting spot or be the official backup, which leads to Ron's other question. Shedeur Sanders remains fourth on the depth chart. Should he start week one for the Browns? So personally, yes. Would I love to see Shedeur start? Yes. Do I think he should start? Probably not. One preseason game isn't going to determine your starting quarterback, especially when you're talking about a backup quarterback who's fighting for a spot on the roster. He doesn't have an official spot on the roster. Let's keep that in mind. Also, as I said, the Browns are in this very, very tough predicament that they put themselves in. They have committed all this money to Deshaun Watson. They brought in Joe Flacco to be the veteran presence in the locker room and the official backup, a guy who knows the offense and then who could kind of guide them when Deshaun wasn't going to be on the field, which it looks like Deshaun's probably not going to be on the field till week 5 or week 6. So Shedeur is battling all those other things. Also, I keep saying it, I hate to sound like a broken record, Shedeur was the 5th round pick. There is no real financial commitment from the Browns to Shedeur Sanders. There was another quarterback who's on their roster who was drafted in front of him, and that's why Shedeur remains 4th on the depth charts, right? Deshaun, when he comes back, would be the starter. Joe Flacco is the official backup who's probably going to be the starter right now. Dylan Gabriel's probably ahead of him. They may even still have Kenny Pickett listed ahead of him, though Kenny Pickett has been dealing with an injury. So there are other things in play that are stopping Shedeur from moving up that depth chart. So I'm going to say he should not start week 1, but I also don't think he should be number 4 in the depth charts. I think he's better than Dylan Gabriel. He was better than him coming out of college. I would put him above Kenny Pickett in the depth charts because, again, Kenny Pickett, we know what he is. We know from his time in Pittsburgh. We know when his time as a backup with the Eagles. He's a bona fide backup quarterback. So why wouldn't I want a young, talented prospect who has a much higher ceiling to be higher on the depth charts? I think Shedeur should be above Kenny Pickett. He should be above Dylan Gabriel on the depth charts. But even with that being said, that probably would make official backup for Joe Flacco week 1 because I think Joe Flacco gets the starting gig. Great question about Ron though, man. I already see Kyrie. We're gonna get to that too. I want to check out what else we got here. Pooh, shout out to Pooh in the comment section. Pooh, I'm gonna let him know you said this. We'll go and hope you're on time today. If you're late again, that's 10 push-ups. That's great coaching first and foremost. Shout out to Pooh bringing in the discipline and bringing in the coaching mentality. Said you late, you got to run laps, you got to do push-ups, man. I'm going to let Will Gordon know when he gets on live. As you can see, We're already 5 minutes in. So, Pooh, I'm going to hold him accountable for that. But let's get to Kyrie's question up here. Did either of you hear Michael Porter Jr.'s take on sports betting? I did. And I'm going to circle back to this when Will Gordon comes on live. So, Kyrie, I'm not skipping the question. I'm gonna let it wait because I got a lot of opinions on what Michael Porter Jr. said, right, wrong, and different. Some of it was funny, but some of it also speaks to a major, major problem that I think every sports league is going to have with the legalization of gambling. And I've talked about it before, and I've said it's very hypocritical of these leagues to not expect their players to at least partake in some way, shape, or form with gambling when major sponsorships come from FanDuel and DraftKings and MGM. You see them every week. You see them during NFL Sundays. You see them during the NBA season. You see it during baseball. I was at the Nats game 2 weeks ago when the Reds went in town, and MGM is not only connected to the stadium, it's a major sponsor within that stadium. So it's hard to ignore when you're being encouraged to go place a bet, right? If you have a FanDuel account, FanDuel right now is doing a futures like kind of discount / promo where you get to gamble on the futures of the upcoming NFL season, and you get profit boost, and you get deposit bonuses and all different types of things they're offering, right? And the two kind of coincide because also FanDuel allows you to get a promo code and a discount on YouTube TV, which, oh, by the way, YouTube TV is the official network for the NFL now, right? No longer is it DirecTV. NFL Sundays is on YouTube TV. ESPN is taking over that shortly as well. But my point being that all these things are tied in together, and the one most obvious, I guess, group of people who you would think would try to also cash in on this are the players, right? The players have a lot of extra cash to spend. The players gamble on their own as is. So why wouldn't they gamble on player performance on weekly outcomes when they know the game better than anybody? They know the strategies better than anybody. If I'm, and kind of to Michael Porter Jr.'s point, if I'm a player on a team and I know that this week my teammate is going to be the focal point. Let's say hypothetically I'm a receiver for the Baltimore Ravens, and I know the receiver opposite me is the focal point, right? We're expecting the defense to take me out the game. That receiver is going to be the focal point. Why wouldn't I put in a bet for that guy to have a touchdown or have 6 catches for 100 yards this week when I know the game plan is to get him the ball? Why wouldn't I do that? And that's why I say it's hypocritical to the league. You want everyone else to partake. I'm sure the owners are involved. I'm sure the owners place bets. I'm sure the owners cash in on these same things, but you don't want the players to do it. So it's a very weird dynamic. But I'm gonna give it a little time before I get more into Michael Porter Jr.'s comments, Kyrie. I just wanted to just give a small sample of where I'm going with my comments on that. Kyrie, shout out to Kyrie Thompson. Been a great supporter of not only the Sanchez show, but Real Fans, Real Talk. It is greatly appreciated too. Jalen, meaning Jalen Hurts, needs to improve for an Eagles repeat. I think so, but not a drastic improvement. I mean, let's not talk like Jalen Hurts was terrible or the weak link for them last year. Jalen Hurts played well and put up numbers when he needed to put up numbers. But the way the team is built and structured, he doesn't have to go out and throw for 275 or 300 yards every week. We know that. We see it. The team is built around their running game, around a very young, fast defense. And when they need to air it out, they can because they've got great weapons. So when I say he needs to improve, I would like to see a little bit more consistency from Jalen Hurts. You know Saquon is going to get a lot of touches in the games. But there are small moments where Jalen Hurts, a bad throw, a bad read, those things need to get better, and those things need to improve for him to probably take the next step up. Now, with that being said, this argument about if he's a top 10 quarterback, I think is stupid. I know people have questioned. I know Cam Newton has talked about it, and Cam is given a really good breakdown as to why he does not feel Jalen Hurts is a top 10 quarterback. But I also think that in that explanation that that Cam Newton gave, he kind of contradicted himself because on one hand, he talked about not giving Jalen Hurts the credit because he's got so much talent. And hey, Jalen Hurts doesn't have to win the game as much as some of these other quarterbacks. He just doesn't have to lose the game, right? He criticized Jalen Hurts for having all the weapons. But in that same regard, you look at some of the other quarterbacks you named in the top 10, those are quarterbacks who haven't accomplished anything. So how could you say they are better than Jalen Hurts? Justin Herbert has been in one playoff appearance. He lost that game. He was bad in the second half of that game. He's done nothing in the league. How could you say he's above him? How could we put Jaden Daniels after one season above Jalen Hurts? Right? How are we saying that Jalen Hurts having too much talent is a bad thing for him, but it's not a bad thing for Baker Mayfield when Baker Mayfield has 2 Pro Bowl caliber receivers on that team and a really good offensive line? So I would not criticize Jalen Hurts in those ways. To Kyrie's question, he does need to improve if they're going to repeat because teams are going to load up the box. And the Eagles last year were very fortunate that the injury bug did not strike them. You look at every other team, and I know luck plays a part in it, and I know you have to be fortunate and stay healthy to make a Super Bowl run. But Saquon last year was the first time in his career. That's the healthiest he's ever been. He's never been that healthy before. Can you rely on that to happen again? I don't know. No major injuries on the defensive side of the ball. No major injuries on the offensive line. Keep in mind, they had lost Jason Kelsey, their longtime center. They had no issues on the offensive line. Can they expect to get that same type of luck again in terms of health? I don't know if they get that again. So for that reason, Jalen Hurts does need to be a little better because he may have to show them more of the load pulls in some of these situations as the season goes on. Jalen Hurts got injured last year, but he would have been ready to play probably the next week. He got hurt in that week 13 game, week 13, week 14 against the Commanders. He probably would have been able to play the next week if it was a necessary game or a playoff game. For precautionary reasons, they sat him out and made sure he was completely healthy for the playoffs. But when you look at some of the other teams, again, every other team had to deal with injuries at a far significant more rate than the Eagles did. He's got to show them more to load, and he's got to be ready to pick up the slack if Saquon can't duplicate the type of season he had last year. What we got? Kyrie said, what's your best Maryland sports memory? I'm not from the area. I've been out here about 5 years now. So for me, as an outsider, I'll say for me, watching Juan Dixon and Steve Blake win a national championship for the University of Maryland, because I remember seeing them as a team that kind of was on the verge of winning. They just couldn't get over the hump, and then they finally got over the hump that year. That's one that sticks out for me. The Ravens' second Super Bowl, in terms of, if we're talking Maryland total sports, that's the one that probably would rank number one. I remember when they beat the Giants in 2000. And at the time, that was a defense that was kind of talked about and as the greatest defense ever. I think it's right up there with the Bears as one of the greatest defenses ever. But it was also, it kind of came out of nowhere that year. They were pretty fresh from their expansion from Cleveland. The Ravens hadn't been in the city for that long. So that was one of those that was like, it kind of came out of nowhere and it shocked some people. And even in the process of it happening, if you look back when they beat Tennessee that year in the playoffs with Eddie George and Steve McNair, Tennessee was the favorites to go back to the Super Bowl. Tennessee had lost in the Super Bowl the year before. So the Ravens kind of crept up on teams with their defense. There were a lot of people who didn't think you could win with that type of offense they had. Jamal Lewis was a very good young running back, but, you had Trent Dilfer as your quarterback. You didn't have many weapons. Shannon Sharp, shout out to Shannon, he was on that team as well. So they came out of nowhere. But that second Ravens team that won, which I believe was, I want to say 2014, that one is the one I think that if you're a Ravens fan, that's the one that you hold on to, and that probably holds a lot more weight because the year before, they lose in dramatic fashion to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. A touchdown that was dropped. I believe it was Lee Evans who drops the touchdown. Then they missed the field goal that would have sent it to overtime. And it becomes this historic speech by Ray Lewis about, God doesn't make mistakes. We're going to get an opportunity and we're going to come back. The following year, it's already known this is it. Ray Lewis, he gets injured. He has like the bicep injury. He lets the team know I'm retiring after this. And then they go on this historic playoff run with them beating San Fran and New Orleans. That's the game when the lights go out and then you're not, again, there's so many things. But if you look back at that playoff run, they beat the Colts in the first round with rookie Andrew Luck. They beat the Broncos in the second round. They were heavy underdogs in that game against the Broncos. And then they avenged themselves against the Patriots and then play the 49ers. So that one to me is the one that probably stands out the most, because I remember when they lost to the Patriots the year before, I thought they blew their opportunity. They were just as good as the Patriots. They should have went to the Super Bowl. They missed a golden opportunity. And they come back the next year. And I really didn't think the next year they were better than they were the year before. I thought the year before they were better. But everything went right. They get that miracle Hail Mary ending against the Broncos. Or it wasn't the ending, but it was the end of regulation. It sent it to overtime. Shout out to Jacoby Jones and RIP to Jacoby Jones. He passed away, but he catches that Hail Mary. He has a kick return in the Super Bowl against the 49ers. They get the goal line stand against the 49ers that would have won the game. That's probably the one that sticks out the most. My brother Will Gordon's in the building. He's ready to go. Will, give me the thumbs up once you're ready to come on live. We get you situated. But that's probably the one. And this is a great segue now that Will is joining the live right now. Will, give me the thumbs up once you're ready, bro. Got a man with me, Mr. Unpopular Opinion himself, Will Gordon in the building.
What it do, baby? What's good with y'all? What's up with the followers? How y'all feeling tonight, man? Everybody good?
Man, we listen, the comment section is buzzing. We're going to start with this question, but before we start with this question, I want to get your opinion on something really, really quickly.
All right.
I think Pooh has put in her resume to be the official coach of Wednesdays with the Sanchez show with the opinionated ones. Are you okay with that?
All right, Pooh. Coach Pooh, what's up?
Coach Pooh.
You guys doing 2 days? What we doing?
Okay with it. This is Pooh's comment to you. She said, if you late, it's 10 push-ups. You was late today.
Oh, I got the Hey, put it on my tab, Pooh. You guys just put it on my tab.
Pooh, you heard him. We're gonna hold him accountable to that. All right. let's go with this one. You joined the live as I was giving an answer to Kyrie's question. He said, what's your best Maryland sports memory? I said, I'm not from the area, but the two that stick out to me the most were the Maryland Terrapins winning the national championship with Juan Dixon and Steve Blake, and the Ravens' second Super Bowl when they get the Hail Mary against Denver. They win against the 49ers in the blackout game. Those are the two Maryland sports memories that stick out to me the most.
For me, it's got to be when we cut down them nets. When them Terps cut down them nets, man. That was like, if you were a Maryland basketball fan, we got close so many times with Sweet 16 after Sweet 16 and just kept coming up short. And then finally, that team that beat Indiana in the national championship, that had so many battles with those great Duke teams and those great North Carolina teams when nobody was giving us a shot. We went through that whole season, and I think we were in the top 5 basically like 27, 28 weeks. And then to finish it the way we did, without leaving a doubt, Juan Dixon, Steve Blake, Chris Wilcox, Byron Musan. All them dudes was out there. Lonnie, I can't forget about Big Lonnie. You know what I'm saying? I love that basketball team, and the fact that we finally were able to. We had our one shining moment, like they like to say on CBS or whatever. Whoever carried the tournament, I don't care about the Ravens. That's not Maryland. Like NFL is NFL. I don't feel like it's like state related almost, because you got so many people can be fans of the Ravens. They'll have nothing to do with Maryland. Like I feel like that college team, that Maryland Terrapin team, that finally cut down them nets after all the great players that came through that program. That was my favorite Maryland sports moment.
Yeah, I had that. And I was saying that too. When I mentioned Maryland, I said I remember them being pretty close in previous years. And that was also the first in school history. And
they were in the Final Four the year before.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They were close. Juan Dixon was a great, great college player. They were, like I said, they were close. So to see them get over the hump that following year, I agree. The reason I put the Ravens on there is because of the storyline that went with it. Now, to your point, you're right. In terms of connection to the state, it's completely different. And even at that time, when the Ravens won that second Super Bowl, the Ravens didn't have this long storied history with the state of Maryland.
Right. They only been there since what, 98, 90.
They hadn't even been there 25 years yet.
Right.
But to me, the storyline of Ray Lewis already saying he was going to retire, and then they go on that playoff run where they need the pass to Jacoby Jones, RP to Jacoby Jones in the Broncos game. Jacoby Jones returning a kickoff in the Super Bowl. They get in the goal line standing against the 49ers. And then a lot of people forget the year before, they lose to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game when Lee Evans drops the pass in the corner.
Yes. I say all that we've said it in the past. If it wasn't for, it's been like 2 or 3 drops in Joe Flacco's career where we would be looking at him as an entirely different quarterback.
Yeah.
If like the Lee Evans drop, the TJ Houshmandzadeh drop, like it's been big drops that were like game winning, legacy solidifying plays that his teammates did not come through for him with. But yeah, I like that you pointed that out because there was some big plays that did not go in the Ravens' favor. That we be looking at Joe Flacco as an entirely different quarterback today.
It's crazy. I mean, we can go back as Ron has started off by talking about Shador. Joe Flacco, in terms of just playoff resume, is one of the most impressive because for a long time, I don't think up until he lost with Cleveland a couple years ago, Joe Flacco had never lost his first playoff game. He was always good for at least one playoff win.
Yep.
And you look back at those Ravens runs they were on, they went to multiple AFC Championship games with a very young Joe Flacco. Remember, after they won the Super Bowls when he gets his first real contract. Prior to that, he's on a rookie deal, consistently taking them into the second and third round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So like you said, Joe's career would be looked at completely different if not for a couple of drop passes. This one is funny, Will, and I know we're going to have some strong opinions on it, so we're going to get to this one right now. Did either of you hear Michael Porter Jr. take on sports betting? I don't know. Did you get a chance to
Nah, I didn't. What did he say?
So to paraphrase,
but his brother got in trouble for betting, right?
His brother got arrested and convicted on it.
Okay.
So one of the funniest clips is the clip from the 520 podcast where they cut up the piece where Michael Porter Jr. says, "My brother has always had trouble with handling money, right? That's like been his bugaboo his whole life. So for him to be in this position to have a little bit of money and then try to gamble and think I'm gonna make a flip, that speaks to his troubles." He goes, like with me, my troubles have always been women, right? He goes, I never had no trouble getting women, but I've always had trouble having healthy relationships. So it turns into this funny clip where it's like, basically Michael Porter Jr. was saying, my brother ain't been getting no bitches his whole life. He don't know how to act. I don't know how to act now that he got some money. He ain't been getting bitches his whole life. But Michael Porter Jr. goes on to say, if as a player, and this is where the league, I know the league is going to be mad at him. He said, as a player, if I could tell all my boys, yo, bet my under tonight, and I just fake an injury, and all my boys could put 10,000 on my under and get a quick bag, why wouldn't I do it? We could all get bread.
Right. That's his take, though. That's like he really came out and was.
He said that. That was one of his takes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, so what do you do with him after, like, as an organization, as a league? Like, what are you supposed to do with this kid after he comes out and basically says, "Yeah, we trying to eat"? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you do with this dude at this point now? Like, first of all, who was he talking to? Like, what was the?
I gotta go back and see. I gotta see who the interview was with, because some of the clips that I saw, it was cut up. It was almost like a first person, like you can't see who he's talking with. But it wasn't on no major network or anything like that. It was somebody obviously who got the exclusive. But I can look back and check real quick. But
if it was like if it was somebody that just got him and like caught him and recorded what he was saying, that's one thing. But if he knew
it was an interview,
it was a real interview.
Yeah.
Then these youngins is just dumb as hell, man. Like, why would you even touch that subject, first of all? And then why would you cop to that kind of activity? Like, these youngins, man, they just dumb as hell today. Like, you can, even if that's the case, even if you are doing that, why are you talking about it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get these youngins. It's a whole new mindset today. Everybody gotta be out there on Front Street. Everybody gotta put all their business out there. But you won't mess around. You won't mess around and be out the league talking like that, because we know how seriously the NBA tries to combat gambling. So, I mean, it's just a bad look all around.
Yeah, it's a terrible look all the way around. I say this though, and this is a major issue that the league is going to have no matter what, and every league is going to have. When the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, when they sign these deals and agreements to legalize gambling, because they had a big say so in all of that, and they allowed a lot of these stadiums to have sports books inside the arena or stadium. Everybody is able to profit off it except the players, because there's no penalty if an owner places a bet. There's no, right? And they're these very loose guidelines of, well, you can bet as long as you're not betting on your sport. Okay, cool. But all these players have connections in other sports as well. So I'm still able to take advantage of any information I get from anybody else. For example, if I play baseball and you play football, well, right? And you tell me ahead of time, yo, we got a big game this week. We expecting the team. Let's say you're the wide receiver on the Chargers. And you say to me, yo, E, we expecting the Chiefs to roll coverage my way. So expect Ladd McConkey to have a big day today. Right? Now, you tell me that information. Let's say I put a 20,000 on it, I win, and I kick you back some of the earnings. Is that illegal? Because my thing is, because if we say that's illegal, all right, so how, based on what? Because you just told me what your game plan might be.
And see, then you're skating the line on, is it illegal or is it just unethical?
Right.
You know, like which verbiage do we want to use, and which loopholes do we want to skate through? You know,
right.
That's why you got to stay away from that altogether. Like even if you are doing, even if you're participating in that kind of activity, don't talk about it. It's that simple. It's that simple.
You're 1,000%. Listen, we come from a different era, though. We know that. Now a lot of these guys, they want to be seen. They want to be noticed. We come from an era where guys was like, I don't care if you don't recognize me, if you don't know it's me, right? I'm getting to it. I'm getting to it. You don't need to know that it was me that's getting to it. I'm just speaking from the standpoint of the league still faces this very tricky issue of everybody else is able to profit off gambling. We're encouraging everyone else to gamble. But yet we're expecting these young athletes with a lot of extra money. You're talking millionaires who got a lot of bread, who are like, yo, it'll cost me nothing to put 25,000 on the game. We're expecting them, like you said, to operate within these ethics that they don't understand themselves.
Right. And like the education is not there. They don't know what they're getting into. I mean, it's all about the flex nowadays. And it's like you said, we come from a different era. We come from that lasagna era. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And these dudes out here just moving reckless and loud. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
a lot of dudes just moving around real crazy. I still think the league got a big issue. I don't think you can really do anything with Michael Porter Jr. because of those comments, because you would still have to prove he did something like that. He could easily say, look, that's just my thoughts on it. I haven't acted on those thoughts. I've never done anything like that. But my thoughts on it is, wouldn't it be cool if I could put my people in position to win some money and not hurt anybody by doing it?
Right, like everybody wins type shit. Yeah.
Right, everybody wins. Because from the league standpoint, yes, it's unethical and it ruins the integrity of the game if players are willing to do that. But to play devil's advocate, how is that any different than if a Tuesday night NBA game and you got a last minute scratch of a guy that could affect the line?
Yeah.
Right.
Same thing.
If a team doesn't put it on the injury report that Joker's hurt, and then 30 minutes before tip off, Joker's not playing tonight, but now you've already collected $1 million worth of bets on Denver. Is that not the same thing? Have you not skewed the integrity of it? Because you got people who betting on it thinking that Joker's playing tonight. He wasn't listed on the injury report.
And people got to remember too, it's not like this kind of thing is more probably prevalent because you can affect lines without losing your games.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like you can affect, like basically, I don't think any of these guys are giving up W's, but they definitely messing with that spread,
Oh yeah,
and that's really all that matters. You know.
yeah. That's where most of the money is gambled at, on the
Yep.
spread. So if I can make sure, we still win, but it's a 3-point win as opposed to a 7-point win, everybody wins.
Yep. And then
Everybody.
you think about it, like how many games have you seen where you see guys really trying in the last minute of a blowout? You see it a lot, and I'm like,
Mhm.
why are they still going? The game's over. It's because they try to catch that spread. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? They got to make up that point differential sometimes. Like just the fact that people are coming out their mouth and stuff like that, pause, and then you just the fact that you're verbalizing it makes you go back and look at pretty much every situation to question it, and that's why you just don't talk about it. It's simple as that.
I agree. He would have been better off not saying nothing at all.
Yep.
Let's see what we got here. What else we got in the comment section? Shout out to Ron Ron. Shout out to Kyrie. Shout out to Pooh. This one's from Ron Ron for you, Will. One of my favorite college players from your way is Juan Dixon. That's who we were just talking about. He was a bad boy, wasn't he? He was that big. Wasn't I guess wasn't that big. Pause. Wasn't crazy athletic, but will bust your ass. Pause. Thank you, Ron. And had a solid NBA career. What's your thoughts on Juan Dixon?
Juan, I know Long. I know Juan a little bit. He came from humble beginnings, from a real rough background. Because I used back when I was still hooping, when I was still in them circuits, he was in the gym and was real nice. Like he was always like in stature, like a smaller guy. But as far as heart, like nobody had a bigger heart than that kid, man. Like he was one of them dudes that like open runs. Dudes was testing him at first, putting him, busting his ass. It was no coming down the lane, but he kept coming back. He was just one of them dudes. Um, and he just kept working on his game too. Every summer he tried to bring back a little bit something better to his bag. Now, as far as his NBA career, it didn't really pan out the way. I mean, he did. He had a cup of coffee on a couple of different teams. He wasn't a big impact player in the NBA, but he made it. But as far as a dude from Maryland, um, you know, stay at home, which I'm real heavy on because I hate seeing dudes leave the area when Maryland's one of the best basketball areas in the country. I hate seeing those dudes leave, but he stayed. And not only did he stay, he brought home a chip. I got nothing but respect for Juan, man. Top five Turk of all time for sure.
My fault. My fault. I was on mute there. I said, yeah, he had a great college career, solid NBA career. He definitely maximized his potential. Ron also wants to know Caleb Williams making his preseason debut tonight. One of the questions that was posed the other day, Will, do you expect Caleb Williams to have, I guess, a greater impact this year, a better season this year? He has struggles. What do you think?
It's gonna a lot. See, if he's going into a new offense, this is his second year, and he's already going into his second system. Ben Johnson did a lot of good things in Detroit with that offense. They put up big numbers. Is he going to be able to? Is that going to be able to carry over from Detroit to Chicago? I mean, that remains to be seen. But they do have weapons, and they have done things within that franchise to set up Caleb for success. So at this point, it's on him. You got receivers. You got a decent enough line. You got running backs that can be successful. Can you take it to the next level? And because you were the first pick in the draft, bro, so you need to really put the team on your back. And we see signs of that last year? He started off slow. Of course, a rookie's going to start off slow. But did we see signs of it last year? Yes. And I still will contend that if not for the Hail Mary, the Jayden Daniels Hail Mary, that play flipped Jaden's and Caleb's outlook. Because people forget, you remember the Hail Mary, but people forget that Caleb just brought them back.
Went down. That's right.
And just
scored. Yep.
Yeah, and basically Chicago missed the playoffs by a game. Washington went on the roll, but that game changed the trajectory of both of their young careers. So I'm not gonna dismiss Caleb as a dude that can have that kind of impact. But he's in a tough division. He's in a new system with a new head coach. So there are going to be challenges there. But as long as they take their time with him, I think he'll be fine.
I think Caleb is still going to take a little time. And you brought up a great point, Will. You know, it's the second offense already in 2 years. And sometimes people don't realize how quickly it takes to adjust. And for him, this is really his third different offense in 3 years. When you consider his last year at USC, his first year in Chicago, now his second year, he's going into all these training camps with a new offensive coordinator and a new philosophy. I think Ben Johnson would be good for him, but you also got to remember that Detroit offense, they have been together for a little while. And even though the Bears have some pieces, it's going to take a while for all those guys because it's not just Caleb learning a new offense. It's DJ Moore learning a new offense because now he's in his third different offense in 3 years. It's DeAndre Swift. It's DeAndre Swift who's in his third new offense in 3 years. They got a rookie tight end who's got to learn it. So they may take a few weeks to figure it out. I think ultimately Caleb will be all right. But the pressure on Caleb is to that other point you mentioned. When you're the number one pick, the expectations are that you're going to come out right away and be great. And then when you look at the guy who went second to you, has already had a lot of success his rookie year. Now everybody's expecting you to match what he's done. I don't think that's fair to Caleb. He's going in a situation where the Bears were still learning how to build that offense around him. You got to give him some time. I wouldn't be surprised if he even struggles the first month of the season. It may take him a month to really get comfortable with the offense because it's line protections, it's audibles, it's receivers understanding where to stop the route and zone cover. It's a lot of little nuances that people don't realize that go into what makes a really good offense. I think
and their receiving core is crazy young outside of DJ Moore. You got the kid you drafted last year, Aduve, and then you got the kid you just drafted this year. I forget his name, but he's supposed to be a stud. But so you got like young guys that really have to. They're still trying to get acclimated to pro football. It's going to be a challenge for them.
Yep. Let's see what else we got here. Guys, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. So we're live every Wednesday. We're not going to get into a little bit of fantasy, NFL fantasy talk tonight because we got our fantasy draft coming up, Real Fans, Real Talk. Everyone wants to know our thoughts on James Cook getting his new extension. 4 years, $48 million. He's probably Buffalo's best offensive weapon outside of Josh Allen. What you think, Will?
Get paid, young man. Get paid. You know, I saw that contract, and I think it's a good sign for running backs. I think you see the offenses in the NFL are starting to put more value into the running game again, like it used to be. And for a team like Buffalo that's right on the cusp to actually open up their wallets to pay a running back, I think it's a really good sign for things to come for the position going forward.
I agree. I think last year we kind of saw a resurgence at the position, not only Saquon and Derrick Henry, but you look what Aaron Jones did. You look at what Josh Jacobs did. You saw 4 veteran running backs who had really good seasons and kind of proved that there is longevity in the position. Pause. And now James Cook gets his money as well. So I think it's a good time for the running game as well. Of course, here we go. You know, somebody was going to mention. I knew once we saw when Michael Porter Jr. was going to come up. Somebody said, wasn't he recently seen with a trans model? That's what they saying, Ron. They saying it was a transmission that he was with. They said it was
really.
That's what they saying. Now, I don't know who this model is. I haven't seen any other pictures. I don't want to accuse him of that because there was recently a video where they was trying to say Rick Ross was on a boat with a man, but it's really his girlfriend because she got short hair. Yeah. It was crazy like that because people was trying to run bananas like, oh, he hooked up with some dude on a boat. But it's really his girlfriend who got short hair. So, you know, people was trying to make it something that it wasn't. So that's why I said I don't want to accuse Michael Porter Jr. of that until we get confirmation that he was with said model.
The interwebs, man. That's crazy.
The internet.
Like, I don't care how nobody but stay nuts. You know what I'm saying? Pause, like, I have to stay away from that.
Yo, speaking of, right? Man, I gotta send you the clip because.
Speaking of, where
no,
we
no,
going?
no. I gotta send you this clip in terms of this. No, because of the topic we're talking about, right?
All right.
It reminded me of this clip that's circulating online. Because somebody, you know that community is crazy, and I don't care if they don't like us or cancel, whatever. You can feel however you feel. I'm entitled to my opinion, just like you're entitled to your opinion.
Right.
But somebody in the trans community try to say, if you don't like trans women, then you're the problem and you're homophobic. Why do I have to like a trans woman?
That makes no sense at all. No merit, that's just an outlandish statement. Like it makes no sense.
It's some of the stupid shit I ever heard. But like I said, because we're talking about this, it reminded me of that dumbass statement that I heard somebody make.
It's plumbed up.
Right. Ron. I had to read this question a couple of times, Ron, so I apologize. Then I figured out the perspective you were taking here. He says then, but I really think he means them finals MVPs I won hurt you. Scared a lot of Warriors fans when my name was announced. KD on why Warriors fans hate him. So I have not heard this interview, so I'm not sure what platform this came from, but Ron is stating that KD made a statement of Warriors fans hate him because they were scared of what he was doing as a Warrior. Shout out to my man King Mac. I see you in the comment section as well.
They were scared of what?
I don't understand. That's what I'm saying. It took me, I had to read the comment a couple of times to figure out the direction. I'm assuming KD is saying the Warriors fans hate him because he was so successful there and then left. I'm assuming.
Okay, so they can hate. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He bought him a couple chips, right?
He did. I don't think Warriors fans hate him though.
That's why I didn't know that was the narrative. Like I'm just confused.
Yeah, I don't think Warriors fans hate him because they basically got what they expected, right? They got two finals. They went to 3 overall. If he doesn't get hurt, they would have 3-peated. But
yeah, he was a hired gun, and he did what he was supposed to do.
He was a hired gun, but on top of that, after he left, they got an opportunity and went back and won another championship.
Yeah, I didn't know there was hate from the Warriors fans towards him. I wasn't aware of that.
Right. So I don't. Like I said, I've never heard that narrative of Warriors fans hate Kevin Durant. Now I know Brooklyn Nets fans hate Kevin Durant because of what he did there. I know Oklahoma City fans hate Kevin Durant. It's going to be interesting opening night, Will, because Houston and Kevin Durant, they start the season at OKC. They're going to be there for the banner being put up.
Ooh, okay.
So it's a great matchup on paper, but also it's going to be interesting to see how the fans respond to Kevin Durant in that moment. I
didn't know the schedule was out already.
Yeah, the NBA schedule came out. They released the opening night, the Christmas Day games.
Oh, just the major dates have been on?
Major.
Okay.
Pooh said, I think KD was arguing with a fan on Twitter. That's where that came from. KD said the first part of his comment to a fan. All right, so that's what it was. So I'm assuming it was a Warriors fan that he was getting into it with, and he responded by saying, the finals MVPs I want hurt you.
Oh, okay. So he was being sarcastic.
Yeah, KD always getting into it with fans.
He do mix it up with the fans all the time. Yeah. He do. Which I don't understand either.
Shout out to King Mac. He said Draymond ruined the KD experience with the Warriors. To a certain extent, I don't know, man. I think some of that is overblown at this point. They make it. Kevin Durant said himself that he was already thinking about leaving even before that little altercation.
Oh, on the bench shit. I remember that. Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah, I don't think KD gonna run from Draymond Green. To the point, it ain't like he's like, what? I don't like Draymond, so I'm gonna leave the team.
But I'm winning championship. KD said himself that he was already contemplating leaving, he said that just like kind of pushed it over the edge. Like, all right, now I'm definitely out. But I think he was already thinking about leaving. And again, think about it. If they had 1 to 3 straight, what would have been left to accomplish for KD? He was a hired gun. He knew what he came there to do. He came there to try to be great and do something special. They would have at that point win 3 straight championships. Do you want to go for 4? Maybe. Do I want to maybe go experience life somewhere else and try to see if I could build my own team? Probably. That's probably the direction he was going to go regardless. So I don't think Draymond calling him a bitch changed anything. KD still balled out that year. KD came back quick off the injury to try to win. So I don't think he allowed Draymond to really fuck with him in that way.
Right.
What else we got? What other questions we got? Pooh, I'm gonna say that for the end. She got a music question for us. And I think we threw most of the sports comments. All right, Will. We got fantasy football coming up. How you did last year in the league? I did terrible.
In the real fast jump?
Yeah.
I think I got to the championship and lost. I think. I can't like I was dominating through the regular season. I think I got.
You started off like 8-0, right?
Yeah, I was killing, but I think I lost. I think I lost in the championship, if I recall correctly.
All right. Give me some of the guys you're looking at this year in terms of fantasy. You ain't got to give away your strategy. I don't want you to do that because I know you got a couple leagues that you win. But we'll just say hypothetically, give me somebody at the receiver position that you're looking at that you think could have a big year in fantasy.
Like not one of the chalk guys.
Yeah, not one of the chalk guys. We're not gonna go chalk.
At receiver, I think you can look at a guy in Dallas. Oppo CD Lamb. And what's my man? Pickens. George Pickens. Mm-hmm. I think Pickens could have a breakout season. He's never really had a receiver on the other side of the field as good as CD Lamb. He's gonna demand coverage. So I think he's gonna have a lot of opportunities. He's gonna see a lot of single coverage all season. And Dak really has something to prove. I think they're going to throw the football a ton in Dallas. I think George Pickens is somebody that you can get in. I would say like in the double-digit rounds. That could be a sneaky good pickup. Like not too late. I'm saying like around 9th, 10th round. If depending on every league's different. Everybody scores their league different, and depending on how heavy guys go. As far as running backs in your league, I think George Pickens is a dude that you can sneak and that you can plan on starting every week at your wide receiver 2 spot.
Right. I like it. It makes sense. It is a good fit for George Pickens. He gets to slide in as the number 2, but also George Pickens is a guy who his best attribute is getting down the field. So he's gonna get a lot of one-on-one coverage, and with a healthy Dak, he's gonna get opportunities down the field every week. So I like it. One of the guys I was kind of looking at, and it might be, like I said, just because of the situation, he's the clear number 1 right now. Might be, to me, Smith-Njigba out of Seattle.
Yeah, he's going to have opportunity.
He's going to have a lot of opportunity. Sam Darnold, is he an upgrade over Geno Smith? Maybe they're the same type of quarterback, but it just feels like the offense now, you saw it towards the second half of last year, the offense was being catered and structured around him. And now that he's the clear number 1, I expect him to be a guy that's going to get like 10 to 12 targets every week. So that's one of the guys I was looking at as well. In terms of where you draft him, though, I don't think he's one of the top 5 receivers off the board, but he could definitely be a sneaky like wide receiver number 2 on your fantasy team.
Yeah. The one thing that worries me is Sam Darnold, because his breakout season, he just happened to have Justin Jefferson to throw to.
That's a fact.
So it's kind of I'm still kind of on the fence about that. So that's the one thing that would give me pause on Smith-Njigba is Darnold. But I mean, we're going to know that real early. We're going to know that right away.
Yeah, we're going to figure out right away if Sam Darnold, if that was a fluke last year, or if he can be and duplicate what he did. We're going to talk about the AFC North tonight as well. But before we get to that, I want to ask you, in terms of you had talked about the fluke and if guys can duplicate what they did. We talked about the running back position earlier. Do you think Saquon can have the same type of production again this year? Because I think last year was the healthiest he had ever been.
I absolutely do. I think Saquon's I don't think last year was a one-off. I think that team is built for long-term success.
I agree with that.
And they continue to get better every offseason. It's like through the draft, through free agency, it's like the moves they make, it's almost like you look around the rest of the league and it's like, why y'all letting them get away with this stuff? It's like, why y'all letting them get this good? I think with that offense and with those receivers and with that quarterback, there's no reason that I don't see Saquon doing, if not repeating what he did last season, being close to it. And that's you still want to take that 8 days a week, being close to last year. So I think for real, I'm seeing a lot of mock drafts and all that. Saquon not being the number one running back off the board is insane to me.
But do you think that's my perspective on it is he going to be that healthy? And do you think maybe that's what's affected him not being a number one running back on the board? That maybe people are feeling like, hey, he avoided injury last year. He can still be productive, but are we going to get 16, 17 games out of him? Or is it going to be closer to what we saw with the Giants every year where he was averaging more like 12 to 13 games? Because if he's playing only 12 to 13 games, that changes the productivity.
But the role was so different in New York than it was in Philly. They were so reliant on him, and defense was so only keyed on him. Who else did you worry about in New York when he was there? In Philly, you can't do that. He don't got to be a 30 carry guy like he had to be in New York, or 30 touch guy like he had to be in New York.
Crazy thing is, though, his touches were close to that still. Like, they still relied on him a lot in Philly. He was still having 20 plus carry games a lot last year. So he was the workload pause may not have been as crazy, but he was still, when you consider the amount of talent they had, he was still the focal point of the offense that was getting 20 plus touches every game. But
those touches facing 10 in the box is different from those touches facing a standard defense because you got AJ out on one side, you got Devontae on the other side. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then you got what's on the outside. Exactly. You had your safety was cheating all the time in New York because they could. Your safety can't cheat against the Eagles. Right. And Jalen can make plays like their play action's crazy because he can make plays out of play action and he can run. Right. So, I mean that team is the way they set up is crazy. I don't see them giving up the NFC East this year at all.
No, I think the NFC East is still theirs. We're gonna get into the NFC East, the breakdown of that division another week. But I hinted at it last week, and I said I don't think the Commanders make the playoffs this year. I think it's the Eagles division easily. Commanders and Cowboys are going to be fighting for a wild card spot. I don't think any of those teams threaten the Eagles to win that division, aside from injury. Injury is the only thing that would keep the Eagles from repeating as division champs.
Good.
We're going to talk AFC North, but I want to bring up this question that Ron had brought up in regards to Shedeur and the Browns. He says Shedeur remains fourth on the depth charts. This is after his preseason week 1 performance. Should he start week 1 for the Browns? That's your area, Will. I know you out there, so you know what the people talking about. What do you think about Shedeur, and should he be the week 1 starter?
It's such a weird situation for Shedeur, man, because up here, everybody's all in on Shedeur. But in that organization, that is not the consensus right now. Andrew Berry made that pick, the GM. He wanted him. The owner did not want him. Jimmy Haslam did not want Shedeur. So it was basically like, all right, if you want to take him, you can take him, but you're gonna have to live with the consequences if there are those. And so far, there's been none. So far, he's done everything right, which I was not worried about at all. I don't know why anybody was worried about. He's been putting in the work. He in his only opportunity to show what he can do looks pretty good, and you got the city. All the city's already believing in this kid. It's 12s all over, and like if you watched the Carolina game when he started, it was 12s all over that stadium, and it was in North Carolina. It wasn't in Cleveland.
That was a
So
road game, yeah.
so you seeing people back this kid, and so if you go into the season with him, first of all, nobody's carrying that many quarterbacks. So if you look at your quarterback room, who you gonna cut? Because you got Flacco, who everybody is assuming is going to be your week one starter. I'm gonna come back to this because he's the vet. He knows, he played decent for them 2 seasons ago until he shit the bed at the end of the season. You got Dylan Gabriel, who you drafted in the 3rd round, who's also nursing a hamstring injury, so you haven't been able to see him really.
Yep.
Of course, Deshaun's on the roster. He's going nowhere. Everybody forget about Deshaun. He's still on the roster, folks.
Yep.
So that's the spot. Then they just picked up Tyler Huntley because of the injuries to Dylan Gabriel, and I'm leaving somebody out. There's another quarterback. Kenny Pickett. Then you got Kenny Pickett. So you got the most crowded quarterback room in the league. And Shador sits there as a 5th round pick where you have no real, it's really no investment in him. But how do you cut him at this point when your whole city is wearing 12 jerseys, when he's looking good every opportunity he gets, and when he's giving your franchise some sizzle and is going to put butts in seats? So who you going to cut? You got to cut somebody. You can't carry all 5 quarterbacks. Tyler Huntley's a camp body. He's out of there. Kenny Pickett, I think, is out of there because he's just a regular ass dude. He's nobody in this league. People are going to keep trying to make him somebody, but he's not. Then it comes down to you got Gabriel, you got Shador, and you got Flacco. I think that's got to be your 3-man. I think that's got to be your QB room. But do franchises want to go in with 1 old ass vet and 2 rookies? You know what I'm saying? So it's Cleveland being Cleveland, making a mess out of a situation that didn't have to be that. But being 4th on the depth chart that's Cleveland being Cleveland. How is he behind Dylan Gabriel, who hasn't been able to play because he's been injured? How is he behind him? You know what I'm saying? It makes no sense. If Shador, if at worst, should be number 2 on the depth chart. But it's the Browns being the Browns, lose forever. And I mean, I don't expect anything different from them.
Well, Shador being 4th on the depth chart, they answered the question for us. Shador is going to be the odd man out. He's sitting out this next preseason game with an oblique injury. The 3rd preseason game is going to be the one for the starters, right? Because that's your last one before the season starts. So Joe Flacco will be out there. You'll have all your day one guys. I think the Browns are telling us how they feel about Shador. They've consistently told us. And like you said, I think their GM and their head coach, Kevin Stefanski, I think they wanted Shador. The owner did not want Shador. He stated it. He's kind of, hinted at he's surprised that Shador is even there. They're going to cut Shador. And
that's crazy.
Listen, I'm not saying it is not the right move to cut Shador. It is not the right move. But just from the business side of things, and you just explained it perfectly. You have Dylan Gabriel, who's a 3rd round pick. There's already a financial investment in having Dylan Gabriel. He has guaranteed money on his contract.
Yep.
A 5th round pick does not, right? Yep. Joe Flacco is going to start week 1. And you mentioned this 2 weeks ago. Why are they going to start Joe Flacco? Because Kevin Stefanski has to win football games.
Yep.
Kevin Stefanski's in the tough spot of, you've been the head coach now here 4 years. You've been to the playoffs 1 time. And it's not Kevin Stefanski's fault. This is really the fault of signing Deshaun Watson, because Deshaun, that has been the thing that set them back. Signing Deshaun and the lack of productivity they got from Deshaun. But if you're Kevin Stefanski and you got to win football games, right? Okay, so I'm definitely not starting Shador because I need to win out the gate. I'm not starting Dylan Gabriel. I still have to keep a quarterback spot left open for Deshaun Watson when he comes back, which they're saying he'll probably be back by week 5, week 6. So that means Joe starts week 1, Deshaun stays on injured reserve for the first month with the anticipation of bringing him back. So to your point, do we then go with 2 rookies? One of them has to be the backup quarterback. Probably not going to go with 2 rookies. We're probably going to go with Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett is not good. He's trash. We know what Kenny Pickett is. We know what he was in Pittsburgh. We knew what he was in Philly. But you have to look at it through the lens of the Cleveland Browns. I got to have at least a stable veteran quarterback that I know what I'm getting, as opposed to a rookie who can be very erratic and is learning on the fly. No team that expects to win games is going to have a rookie quarterback as their legitimate backup quarterback. You're not going to see it.
Yep.
So Kenny Pickett, by default, is going to end up staying on the roster just because you need to have another veteran presence in case Joe Flacco, who's in his late 30s, in case he gets hurt. Because ain't no way if Joe Flacco were to get carted off the field, let's say week 1, and Kevin Stefanski got to look down the sidelines and you're looking at 2 rookies, your season's over week 1.
Yep.
And if you're Kevin Stefanski and you're coaching for your job and you're coaching for and it's crazy to even say coaching for your job because he's a 2-time coach of the year. But if I got to coach for my job, I'm not trusting a rookie. I'd rather take my chances with Kenny Pickett and hope that we could just manage the football game as opposed to 2 rookies that are going to come out here and probably throw 2 or 3 picks. And we now forced to throw the ball 25, 30 times because we're down by 3 touchdowns already. Unfortunately, Shador's going to get cut. But I've been on record since the draft. Not only do I want Shador to get cut, I want him to land with the LA Rams. That's why I want Shador to land.
Rams. Oh, with
Sean
my
McVay.
guy, with Sean McVay.
Yep.
Okay.
Because you saw what Sean McVay was able to do with Jared Goff as a young quarterback. You saw what he was able to do when Baker Mayfield, when his career was on thin ice. We thought Baker Mayfield's career was over.
Yeah, he showed him how to be a professional quarterback.
I think that's a perfect landing spot for Shador. If you could go there and you could say, yo, Shador, you're going to sit behind Matthew Stafford for 1 year. You're going to learn from a proven starter like Matthew Stafford. You're going to learn from one of the best head coaches. But not only are you going to learn, we're putting you in a position that you're going to have weapons as of next year. As of next year, Shador's walking into a room that got Puka, Devontae Adams, and Kyron Williams. That to me is the perfect landing spot. The Browns don't deserve the Shador Sanders. They don't deserve it.
No, that's true.
They ain't done nothing to prove that they deserve a young, smart quarterback who has all the talent. Like you said, we shouldn't be surprised that he played well in week 1. Was he not the most consistent quarterback the last 2 years in college football?
Yeah.
The numbers back that up, but everybody's trying to find ways. And we know when I say everybody, we know certain individuals trying to find ways to shit on his game and make it seem like he's not a pro-style quarterback. He's only been playing in a pro-style offense since high school.
Do you think he needs to sit?
I don't think he needs to sit, but I think if the opportunity presents itself, that would be the best case scenario for him.
I think I got a place for him that he could compete to start right away.
Where's that?
No, I don't know if this would be best for him, his career, but I think he's ready.
Well, what's
like? I think he's a second round at least talent, and I think he could walk in the building and take the reins today in New Orleans.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, he could start it. He could start in Cleveland, but
yeah, it's true. But there's no competition in New Orleans. Like who are they starting? I forget this. Ritter?
It's probably gonna be Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, Rattler. Are you kidding me? You trying to win football games with Spencer Rattler? He can walk in there today and be their starter.
He can start there right away, but they're another team that showed they drafted another quarterback instead of him.
True.
They could have had
But
him
we
from
know
day
what that
one.
was. We know that we already know what that
Of
was.
course, and that's what I'm saying. I want if they're gonna play this type of game with Shador, then I want to play the game too, and I want to get you in a perfect landing spot. Then let you go to the Rams with a head coach who you know is one of the best offensive minds in football, and will then hand you the keys to the best situation in football for a young quarterback.
Yeah. I want to see him play now. I don't think he should. I don't think he needs to sit. That's why I was asking. I think he should be playing
I
up
don't
to day one.
I don't think he needs to sit, and I think there's a couple scenarios of where he could have gone. He could start with the Saints. He should be starting with the Browns. I think he could start with the Giants. I think there
Mm,
are teams that he could start with.
it's some comp. And Russell going look good in camp.
It's competition now, but had they drafted him, and I don't knock the Giants for not taking him in the first round, because I thought the Giants did the right thing. If you could get Abdul Carter, you take Abdul Carter. I'm not mad at that. Now, the Giants should have taken him in the second round, because then that would have been like, all right, now we have our quarterback of the future. And it would have been a great situation to have him as your number one, knowing we can still sign Jameis Winston to be the backup.
They like Dart a little bit though.
Dart, to me,
They like him a little bit.
they love him. But
You know what I'm saying?
Jackson Dart is a project piece. He's a guy that's going to take a lot of time. And they came out themselves and said he's probably a guy that 2 or 3 years down the road will be ready. So to me, I'm like, why would you take a guy 2 or 3 years down the road when you could have taken somebody who's more established and more ready to go now? Two or 3 years down the road means absolutely nothing for you, because if we're drafting that way, then don't take a quarterback at all and just wait till next year and draft Arch Manning.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have quarterbacks coming out next year too. I don't understand that. Let's get to a couple more questions here. We spent a lot. Oh no, we was talking Shador. Well, I take this question now. Give me a quick prediction for the AFC North.
The NFC North?
AFC North.
Oh, the AFC North. Shit, you sent me NFC North earlier.
All right, so let's do NFC North. My fault. I thought I said AFC. Let's do NFC.
I think that's a division that's wide open and I say that because of what's going on with the carousel of coaches up there, with Ben Johnson leaving Detroit, going to Chicago. How much of the success in Detroit was attributed to him, and how much of it was really Dan Campbell? I think we're going to find out this year. Because Ben Johnson's walking into a situation in Chicago where you do have a nice array of weapons for you. You got a young quarterback. We alluded to it earlier. All the weapons you got on offense, and you got a defense to stout.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you walking into a good situation. Do I think the Bears are going to win the division? though? No. Detroit has been knocking on the door the last 2-3 years. How much of that was because of Ben Johnson's offense? We're going to find out. Do I think they're better suited to be more successful than the Bears right now? I do. Do I think Detroit's going to win the division when they've been pretty much at the top the last few years? I don't. You look at Minnesota, who had a good season last year. They got a great young head coach. But you look at what they were able to do with Sam Darnold. They rolled through the regular season, basically, get to the playoffs and shit the bed because Sam Darnold turned back into Sam Darnold. But and now they're going to go forward with J.J. McCarthy, who they drafted last year and expected to, be under center last season. I think they've got, one of the top 2 receivers in football, one of the best players in the league, but is J.J. McCarthy ready to make that step in basically year one? I don't think so. I'm not worried about them right now. I think the Green Bay Packers are in the best position as far as continuity, as far as things not changing around them while they continue to improve. I think they found something in the acquisition of Josh Jacobs. And he gives you a tough running game that, like we alluded to earlier, the running game is being more valued and more relied upon now. And in that division, that's a running division. You know what I mean? Like that NFC North is just, that's a winner when we get into the late fall and winter. You don't, playing in Green Bay, playing in Chicago, you playing in those elements, you want to be able to control clock, and this running game is very important. And I think they found something in Josh Jacobs that could be very beneficial for them. And Jordan Love continues to improve. I see a lot of poise in Jordan Love that his numbers and his stats they're not going to there's no shock value in his stats. But if you watch Green Bay play, you can see a lot of growth in his game. The kind of you can see improvement in his game. He doesn't digress. You see him getting better, and I think with him being in year 4 of that office now, about year 4, and if they could get they need, I think, one more piece to really solidify them at the top of the division. But with everything that's going on around the division and the uncertainty with the coaching changes, the uncertainty with Caleb Williams in year 2, the uncertainty in Minnesota with JJ McCarthy, I think they are the most primed team in that division to actually take advantage of the questions that are going on in that division, and they could actually make that push to bring that division title home.
I think in terms of everything you said, I agree. I think Detroit's still the best team in that division, but you're right. Losing both coordinators, you got to wonder how that's going to affect that team.
Yeah, I forgot about Aaron Glenn leaving and going to New York. So yeah, that's a huge factor as well. Yeah,
it's a combination of losing both coordinators, but also the way they lost in a playoff game. They got beat up by the Commanders in that playoff game, and so you wonder, what does that do to the confidence of that team? Because that's a team that's very aggressive but very confident. Dan Campbell loves to go for it on 4th down. They play with a lot of swag, but when you get your ass beat like that on national TV, it could throw a chink in the armor where other teams throw the tape on it. Like, all right, we know how to attack your defense now. We know where the weak spots are. And it's not like they went out and made moves on their defense. They didn't go and upgrade anything on their defense. They're pretty much running it back with the same team using the logic of, well, Aiden Hutchinson was hurt last year. We were banged up come playoff time, so we didn't have all our guys. And they're thinking that if they're healthy, they're going to have all their guys. I don't know if that changes much for their defense. I think the offense is still elite. It's one of the best offenses in all of football. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have a bigger year this year than he'd had last year because they expected to give him more to touches now. But defensively, they're struggling. And I agree with you. I think the Packers are the biggest threat to win that division. The continuity there, Matt LaFleur is a legitimate head coach. Another year with Jordan Love. The only thing that scares me about the Packers, I love their defense, and I love how young they are and how successful they've been the last couple of years with that youth, because they haven't had to go out and extend and go get a veteran. They've been able to be successful developing guys. The only thing that worries about the Packers is those receivers never seem to stay healthy. If it's not Christian Watson, one of the receivers always seems to be out. And that's one of the things that I think Jordan Love is a really good quarterback. And I think Jordan Love is a guy who probably by week 5, week 6, we're going to be saying, hey, he's a top 10 quarterback. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But their receivers never seem to be healthy, and that's why they so up and down. So for me, I'm still going to take Detroit, but I think Green Bay is a close second, has a legitimate chance to win that division. JJ McCarthy in Minnesota, that's going to be interesting to watch. There's a lot of weapons there, but you're asking what's the equivalent of a rookie quarterback, because JJ didn't take one snap last year. A rookie quarterback coming back off of a really bad injury to come right in and win some games. Remember, this team won 13 games last year.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're taking over for a team that only won 9 games and we're expecting you to be better. Like, no, this team had a legitimate chance to be the number 1 seed in the NFC last year. They're going to take a step back, and they may even struggle a little bit. JJ will be familiar with the offense. JJ will be comfortable in the offense. But will he be able to execute the offense? And that's my biggest thing with him. So I think the Vikings take a step back. I think they're another team. Every year we see, 2 teams that make the playoffs fall out. I think Minnesota is one of those 2 teams that's going to fall out of the playoffs. I think they're still good enough to win 9 games, But again, you're talking about a division that's really, really tough. They could lose to anyone in that division, and we wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
So I think they take a step back. I think they end up being the number 3 team in that division. The Bears are still the 4th place team in that division, and that's not because of lack of talent. It's as I mentioned before, I think Caleb Williams is going to have a major adjustment period with the new offense that he's learning from Ben Johnson. One of the things I heard recently, too, from a couple of reporters that were covering the team was the biggest difference for Caleb that he's got to make the adjustment to. They was not the verbiage, it was the timing. The Ben Johnson offense in Detroit was all built on timing. It was quick three-step drops, 5-step drops. Jared Goff gets it out quick. Caleb is a guy who loves to freestyle. And so he's got to learn to come off his reads a little faster and then get the ball out. He can't hold the ball the way he did last year. That's why he took a beating. He got sacked so many times. So I think early in the year, he's still going to struggle with those things. Maybe by the second half of the year, they'll get rolling. But again, the division is so good. If you start 2-5, you might put yourself in too much of a hole to even compete for the division. You got to get off a high start to win this division. So for me, I got Detroit, Green Bay a close second with a potential to win the division, Minnesota 3rd, and Chicago 4th.
I can ride with that. I can respect that lineup.
Next week, we're going to do the AFC West because I know you feel strongly about a particular team to win that division.
I don't know who that might be.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar.
We don't want to give it away.
I'll make sure to research that division this week, so I'm prepared. Prepared next Wednesday.
Yeah. Research, take your notes. You know what I'm saying? Let's get to a couple questions, and we're gonna wrap it up for the night. Pooh, I'm gonna take that question for the end. She has a music question.
I love it.
Let's see what else here. Kyrie, hold on. I'm checking out your comments. Hold on. Kyrie got a question. What's this about? Well, he got a question about Tina Hutchinson. Shout out to Tina Hutchinson. She been showing us a lot of love. She locked in last week on both episodes on the Sanchez show and Real Fans, Real Talk. And I know Trip about to get with us soon. Again, she said she should have been there and passed Juju the ball. She talks like she was as good as Cheryl, and maybe she was, but she had the great season, 29 a game. Is she a what could have been or what if story? Cheryl finished her career. I guess me watching the show, she almost feels she should be mentioned with the GOATs, but I'm sure that USA stuff took a toll. So I'm going to say this, Kyrie. First of all, I think I appreciate the comment, but we can't try to diminish the fact or overlook the fact whatever Tina feels, she actually experienced this 40 years ago. That's first. Secondly, Tina Hutchinson was the number 1 player in the country going into 1984. That's not a what if, that's not a make-believe scenario. That's the facts. She was the number 1 player. Pat Summitt said herself, and I forgot who mentioned this in his comment section last week, but Pat Summitt said herself, her freshman year is going to dictate if she makes the Olympic team. So there was already conversation about her making the Olympic team. Now, Tina had 2 great matchups against Cheryl Miller. She held her own. She played very well against Cheryl Miller. The what-ifs obviously come in because she gets injured. But let's not act like she didn't drop 30 on Cheryl Miller's head the first time they played. Like, she went toe-to-toe with one of the greatest women basketball players of all time twice, held her own twice against her, more than held her own. She played great both games against her. So I don't think we should try to diminish it or make it seem like, oh, she talking as if she was on her level. When they was on the court, she was on her level. She was right there with her. Now, the longevity of the career has changed, but I don't think that takes away from how good Tina was as a player and where she was ranked at that time. Again, she was the number 1 player in the country. Pooh said, I think Cheryl was the top player in the world when Tina came in, right? So Cheryl was just finishing her freshman year. Cheryl, by most accounts, was considered the best player in the country on a collegiate level. Tina was the number 1 player coming out of high school that year. But Kyrie, if you want to say it's a what if story or what might have been, yeah. But we could say that about a lot of great players. We could say that about a lot of people who injury robbed them of all their potential. Again, it's not like Tina got to the college level and shit the bed and didn't play well. She was playing really well. She was the best freshman in the country. And the only difference between a Tina Hutchinson story and some of these other young ladies was she got injured at a time when we didn't know enough about recovery and rehab. Remember, she had a legitimate torn up knee, and they treated it as if it was a 3-week injury until to get back on the court. Then she had to have arthroscopic surgery in the offseason when they realized, no, that the knee is shredded. It's completely damaged. The only difference between Tina Hutchinson and like a Paige Buckers is that Paige Buckers had the advantages of modern medicine, where she was able to recover, rehab, and get herself back. That's the difference. Will, we're going to get to this music question and we're going to wrap it up.
All right.
Who wants to know? She posed this question last week, but I know you got to get off the air quick. Where is it at? Come on, where is it? All right. She wants to know, fellas, has Beyonce surpassed Michael Jackson as the greatest entertainer of all time? Shout out to King Mac, because King Mac immediately said, hell no. But Will Gordon, do you feel Beyonce has surpassed him?
Nah, Pooh. I don't even think it's really close still. Like, respect to the Beehive and all that, but that ain't really for me. Like, I'm not really a big Beyonce fan. Like, that's what I'm saying. Respect, it's just not for me. I'm not no shade on her at all. That's just not for me. But Michael Jackson, man, is Beyonce got grown men passing out? Is that happening? I'm just asking because I don't be seeing the concerts and stuff. Does Beyonce just walk on stage and have 300,000 people screaming at the top of their lungs for 10 minutes, and he just stands there and just like surveys the crowd? Is that happening? If that kind of stuff ain't happening yet, if people ain't passing out when they see his tour bus drive by, when they see her tour bus drive by, then nah. Mike was on a whole nother. Mike is something we ain't seen. Mike is something we ain't been close to seeing. You had to be there, Pooh. I know you. You know, you're only like in your 20s or whatever. So Mike's prime was way before you even around. So I understand, but you gotta understand. Mike had grown ass men crying and passing out just by stepping on the stage, just by coming out. That was the effect Michael Jackson had on people. Now, is that the entertainment aspect of it? Probably, no. But he was the entertainer that made that kind of thing occur on a regular basis. It wasn't like a one-off. Everywhere Michael Jackson went, they had gurneys ready for fans. I mean, this is real. Like, they really had stretchers ready because they knew it's gonna be motherfuckers passing out tonight. Mike was in town. You know what I'm saying? That's how it was. Is Beyonce great? Absolutely. Shout out to her. But MJ was something. It was a whole. MJ was another thing. There was Michael Jackson, and then everybody else.
I mean, first, my question would be, what metric are they using? And I know Pooh said a lot of people saying that. Said a lot of people saying this. I don't think she's past Janet Jackson. I think she passed Janet Jackson. I think.
Oh yeah, she passed.
Now we just creating debates at this point. She passed Janet Jackson a long time ago. She said, I think it was on Twitter or Breakfast Club or something. Yeah, I mean, the debate thing is cool and everybody wants to talk about it. I don't think it's a fair conversation because what Will Gordon said is so true. Michael Jackson was a one of one. What he did in the entertainment space can never be duplicated again. It will never happen.
It won't. It's impossible to be.
Yeah, it's impossible. And you got to remember, like, right, I get it. Beyonce is probably the biggest entertainer in the world. But we get an opportunity every day to see Beyonce, whether it's in the news clips, social media outlets. When Michael Jackson came to your city, like Will said, it was truly a one-off. Like, you didn't get to see anything beforehand when Michael got there. So when you got there, people lost their damn mind. They just lost it. They would pass out in the middle of the street. People would lose all awareness of anything that was going on in their life when Michael Jackson came by. And so you can't even compare nothing that an entertainer's doing now. That's why, like, when somebody try to say, "Oh, like Chris Brown," is not the same thing. You talking about Michael Jackson going diamonds on an album when there was no snippet clips, there was no
streams.
No streams. You had to physically go buy it.
Yep. You go to the store and buy the record.
You know how tough this is. You know how tough it is when you think about this, right? Think about all the ways that an artist promotes a song now. Michael Jackson had none of those ways to do it. He couldn't drop a snippet and be like, "Hey, what you guys think of the song?" There was no way for him to do that. You gotta
also, stores would sell out.
Yeah.
Think how much more they would have sold back then if it was an unlimited supply.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Stores would sell out. Like if you were there when Waxy Maxie or whoever, Sam Goody or whoever opened on Tuesday morning, and when they opened, you weren't in line.
Yeah.
You cannot get that. You can't mess around and wait till you get off work.
Yeah,
that time might be sold out.
You literally had to wait in line and hope that there was enough supply at that store. Like now if an artist goes platinum, it's a big deal, right? Because you get streaming, you get opportunities to just buy the singles as opposed to listen to the whole album. Back then, again, you didn't even know what was on the album.
No, that's so crazy.
You had to just take the chance that I hope the music's good enough. And then when you find out that the dude had he got like on what Water War, I think he got like 7 #1 hits off that. Again, at a time where you could not inflate the numbers. You couldn't like, "Oh, we just gonna manipulate the numbers and make it seem like, oh, the streams was this." Yeah. This was legitimately like people calling up to the radio station, waiting on hold just to hear one Michael Jackson song.
Yeah, because you had to wait a few months for the next single to come out.
Yeah, right. It was
like you wouldn't. Yeah, you couldn't.
Right. Like now, and shout out to Beyonce because I think she's a phenomenal artist. But Beyonce is able to do it at a time, and this is not just Beyonce. I'm not criticizing her. Chris Brown, all of them. They get to do it at a time where I can give you the whole album right now, and then if you don't like the album, I can edit the album on streaming platforms.
Yep.
I could put a new song. I could take a song off. I could mix it differently. Mike had to craft a work of art that was so impeccable that it's like, yo, when I give it to you, you're gonna love it in a way that you don't even want this album to be touched ever again. You want it to be flawless. So nobody's gonna surpass Mike, and that's not to say no artist can ever be as great as Michael Jackson. There are gonna be some artists that are great artists, but there's nothing we can even say, Pooh, could even magnify what it looked like at that time. People were passing out, like Will said, people were passing out. People were literally throwing their babies at Mike. Hold my baby. Just throw the baby. Throw the whole baby at Michael Jackson. Hold the baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, people were losing their fucking minds. And I'm not even a big Michael Jackson fan, but I'm just calling it like it is. This is what it was at that time. So no. And no disrespect to Chris Brown. I know people say the same thing. I think Chris Brown's a great artist. It's not Michael Jackson, bro. He
ain't Mike. Chris Brown, my favorite current artist, but he ain't Mike.
Yeah. Look at the people he would go on his European tour, and people would stand outside the hotel for hours just hoping he'd peek his head out the window.
Yep.
He was.
If the curtain moved, they'd be like. Because the curtain moved.
Yeah. People were going crazy, and the man wasn't even outside. He was in his hotel room. And you got 10,000 people clogging up the streets of Europe, just hoping, like you said, that he moved the curtain.
Well, you had to be there, girl. I'm telling what. Next week I'll have some documentaries that I'm gonna look up and I'll have for you, Pooh. To see what that Michael Jackson movement was like back in the day. I mean, it was you
can't compare that.
You gotta see it. You got ask your dad. I know your pops is hip to that. Ask pops about Michael Jackson.
There's nothing you can compare to it.
Yeah, ask your pops, Pooh. He'll let you know. Shout
out to Kyrie. And this is gonna be the last one. But he said, Pooh, Chris Brown versus Usher is a better comparison.
I love this. I love this argument.
It's a better comparison. Matter of fact, we're gonna end with that statement because that's when we're gonna start with next week.
Bet.
We're gonna do an opinionated ones versus type conversation.
We can do a few artists. As a matter of fact, that could be one. That could be one matchup. Brown versus Usher. We could do. Let's do three. Let's do three battles next week. Unless it's some major stuff going on in sports we gotta touch on.
We're gonna think of two more. We're gonna think of two more battles / comparisons that we're gonna discuss next week.
If y'all got something, y'all know our socials, hit us up. And if y'all got some suggestions, we listen to the people. So if y'all got some suggestions, holler.
That's a fact. Will, give me a final thought. Let's wrap up.
Final thought. This is the first joint. Wait, we did the show last week, right?
Yeah.
Did we do a show last week? Oh, okay. Shout out to everybody. This keeps following the show. Me and Eric linked up, as y'all know. And next time I come to town, we gonna record something. We're gonna do a live. We're gonna do a live show. It was just I was just in and out of town real quick, and I had a whole lot of people to get with. So it was brief, but next time I come, I'm gonna carve out some time. So you're gonna see the opinionated ones live next time I'm in the city. Shout out to my man Eric. Always give me the opportunity to kick it with y'all every week. I love the supporters. I love the questions. I love the engagement. And man, y'all don't realize it, but y'all make my week better every week. This space when I can come and kick it with y'all. So keep supporting us, keep watching, and I'm gonna keep rocking with y'all.
No, that's a fact. Shout out to the supporters as always, man. Y'all make these episodes even more enjoyable with the questions and comments, man. We look forward to being with y'all again next week. Make sure you guys lock in on Monday night, Real Fans Real Talk, 7 p.m. We got a guest coming through, Miss Kathy Boswell. It's going to be another great women's college basketball and WNBA conversation with Miss Boswell. So y'all going to enjoy it. If y'all love the Tina Hutchinson interview, y'all going to really enjoy it next week as well. And like I said, Will Gordon and I will be back next Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. In the meantime, in between time, make sure you guys are subscribed to the Sanchez Show and Real Fans Real Talk. You see the socials up on the page, man. Make sure you give us a follow. Shoot us the comments, questions, anything you want to hear us discuss. We'll get into that, man. But for my brother, Will Gordon, I am Eric Sanchez. We are the opinionated ones. And we'll see you guys next week. We out of here.